Monday, 6:42 a.m. South Hills, Connecticut, a town dressed in perfection and secrets. Morning dew sparkled on the hedges of the gated mansion at 139 West River Lane. Birds chirped in the distance, and the smell of expensive coffee drifted from the open kitchen windows. Inside, everything gleamed. Countertops, glass walls, imported marble floors. In the back hallway, bent on her knees, scrubbing the baseboards, was Rosa Delgado, mid-30s, Latina, immigrant, calloused hands, quiet strength, the kind of woman no one saw, unless the trash wasn't taken out or the silverware was placed wrong. The house belonged to Mayor Gregory Lawton, three-term mayor, born and bred New England royalty. Golden hair, white teeth, a Harvard diploma hanging above a vintage fireplace. To the town, he was a hero. To Rosa, he was something else. She had worked for the Lawtons for nearly 6 years. She'd cleaned after them, fed their dogs, watched their kids, and wiped blood off bathroom tiles. After the mayor's late-night accidents, no one ever asked about. She knew when the missus left for her secret spa weekends. That weren't spa weekends. She knew the sound of his shoes when he'd had too much to drink. She'd learned to disappear inside a house full of noise. And for 6 years, she never said a word until that morning. At exactly 7:05 a.m., Rosa entered the study to empty the trash bin. She bent down and saw a file sitting halfway out of the drawer. She had no intention of looking, but the name on the folder froze her. Delgado, ICE compliance file, contingency plan. Her fingers trembled. She opened the file. Inside, copies of her old immigration documents. Ones she'd never given the Loftons. A letter from Mayor Lawton's legal team, dated 3 months prior. In case she ever talks, we'll make sure she's removed. She clutched the folder to her chest and backed out of the room. Something inside her snapped, but not in panic, in purpose. That evening, Rosa's apartment. The walls of her small one-bedroom buzzed with the sound of her daughter watching cartoons in the living room. Rosa sat at the table, file laid out in front of her, staring. Her phone buzzed, a message from her niece in Boston. "Tia, you okay? Still working for the devil?" Rosa smiled slightly, then typed, "Not for long." 2 days later, Town Hall Mayor Lawton stood at the podium flashing his blinding smile. "We believe in building bridges, not borders." Rosa watched from the side entrance, dressed in black, holding a clipboard, unseen by the cameras. Her hand touched the folder hidden in her purse. She knew something else now. Gregory Lawton wasn't just corrupt, he was running a private deportation network, leveraging undocumented workers, then threatening to destroy their lives if they spoke up. And worse, she had proof. 2 days after the file discovery, Rosa walked into the Lawton mansion like she always did, quiet, early, and unnoticed. But this time, she wore a wire. It was clipped to the strap of her sports bra, wired to a small recording device Daniel, her niece's boyfriend in Boston, had mailed her overnight. Rosa had no formal training, but she had 6 years of silence boiling in her throat, and the mayor was about to hear every drop of it. 9:17 a.m. The study mayor. Lawton stood near the fireplace, phone to his ear, smiling that rehearsed politician's smile even when no one was watching. Rosa entered the room slowly, pretending to dust. He waved her off. Yeah, she's still here," he said into the phone. "She's not stupid. Scared people never are." Rosa paused, cloth in hand, spine stiffening. "Look, I've got leverage. Her immigration status is, well, let's say it's flexible." He laughed. "If she ever flips, I'll have her on a bus to El Paso before sunrise." Click. He hung up, then turned to Rosa like nothing had happened. "You good on kitchen duty today?" She smiled. "Yes, sir." Later, Rosa's apartment. She listened to the recording 3 times before uploading it to a secure folder Daniel set up for her. She wasn't ready to release it yet, not until she understood what she was truly dealing with. That night, she dug through the folder again. One paper stood out, a transfer slip marked confidential. Private funds allocated to CLS, transferred via West River Holdings shell account. She Googled it. Nothing came up, but she recognized one of the account numbers. She'd seen it on a check once addressed to a consultant who came through the mansion last fall. His name was Clay Stanford, a legal advisor with no office, no website, and a face that always turned away from cameras. The next day, Rosa's church. She met with Father Luis, a kind-eyed man in his 60s who'd known her since her arrival in the U.S. She told him everything: the file, the threat, the account numbers. He listened quietly, then took her hands in his. "Mi hija, this is more than corruption. This is a machine. You pull the wrong wire, and it all falls on you." "I'm ready," Rosa said. He studied her, then asked, "Are you willing to lose your home for this?" Rosa thought of her daughter, her family, her father's grave in Guatemala. "I've already lost too much. I'm not letting them take my voice too." The first step: exposure. Rosa sent an anonymous email to a local blogger named Janelle Briggs, known for exposing housing scams and school board corruption. She didn't reveal her identity yet, just the audio file and a redacted version of the ICE threat document. The subject line read, "The mayor's housemaid has a story. Are you ready to hear it?" 48 hours later, the town explodes. The blog post hit Twitter by midnight. By 9 a.m., Rosa arrived at the mansion to find 2 news vans parked near the front gate. The mayor's wife paced nervously near the foyer, talking on her phone. Gregory was in the study with the blinds closed. Rosa entered the kitchen quietly. She felt the tension like smoke in her lungs, thick, clinging. But she didn't flinch, because she knew something they didn't. The real story hadn't started yet. Monday, 6:03 a.m. The air outside the Lawton estate was unusually still. 2 black SUVs with government plates idled on the curb. A police cruiser was parked beside them. Engine off, officer inside, reading from a tablet. Inside the mansion, Gregory Lawton stared at the TV in silence. News anchors debated across the screen. A blog claiming to have audio proof of the mayor leveraging immigration threats against undocumented labor has gone viral overnight. The mayor's office has not issued a statement. His wife, Mallory, paced across the room in heels. "They're going to come for us," she said. "This is bad, really bad." Gregory sipped his coffee slowly. "It's nothing. It'll pass." But the twitch in his jaw said otherwise. At Rosa's apartment, she watched the same broadcast with her daughter asleep beside her. The phone buzzed. A message from Janelle, the blogger. "News is chasing your trail. They want to know who you are. You sure you want to stay anonymous?" Rosa stared at the blinking cursor on her screen, then slowly typed, "Not for long." That afternoon, Lawton's kitchen. Rosa walked through the mansion with calculated grace. She wasn't invisible anymore, and she knew it. The staff gave her side glances. The butler, Brian, didn't say a word as she passed, but Rosa wasn't afraid. She was in control now. She finished her duties early, took a deep breath, and made her move. She entered the guest bathroom, pulled a folded piece of paper from her sleeve, and placed it behind the mirror, the one she knew security never checked. Inside, a printed transcript of the mayor's audio threat, the original file name, the contact number for Janelle. Then she left for the day. The next morning, anonymous, tip to a reporter. The local CBS affiliate received a manila envelope. Inside, an SD card. A typed letter. "If you want to know what happens when power thinks no one is watching, listen to this." Within 24 hours, the mayor's voice was on the 6 o'clock news. "She's not stupid. Scared people never are. If she ever flips, I'll have her on a bus to El Paso before sunrise." The clip echoed across living rooms, grocery stores, gas stations. South Hills froze. The first public statement, Lawton's press secretary, stood before a sea of cameras. "We deny these accusations in the strongest terms. These recordings are fake, digitally manipulated." But no one believed it, because Rosa had the originals and more. Meanwhile, Daniel in Boston, Rosa's niece's boyfriend, a software engineer, pulled metadata from the audio files. Location, South Hills time, 9:17 a.m. device, signature, Lawton's Samsung Note 10. He sent Rosa a text. "The mayor just lost plausible deniability. We have him. Hard." The first threat. That night, Rosa received a piece of paper slipped under her door. No envelope, no signature, just one sentence. "You'll lose your daughter next." She didn't call the police. She called Janelle and agreed to go public. Tuesday, 8 p.m. The news station's lights were blinding. The makeup woman dabbed Rosa's cheek one last time, her hand trembling more than Rosa's. "You're sure you're ready for this?" the producer asked. Rosa nodded. I've been ready for 6 years. 9 p.m. Live broadcast. The show was called South Hills Uncovered. The host introduced her. Tonight, we speak to the woman behind the viral audio tape. The one who served the mayor's household for 6 years in silence. Until now. The camera zoomed in. Rosa sat tall, calm, her black curls pulled back, minimal makeup, a soft navy blouse, her accent unapologetic. "I'm Rosa Delgado," she said, "and I am not afraid." Over the next 8 minutes, she detailed everything. The ICE file, the audio tape, the backdoor deportation threats, the hush money offered to former housekeepers who vanished. Then she leaned forward. "He didn't just threaten me. He built a system on people like me, workers with no voice, mothers with no options, labor he could break with a single phone call." And then, the closing blow. I still have the second recording, and if anything happens to me or my daughter, it goes straight to federal investigators. The internet explodes. Number 1, I stand with Rosa trends in 38 states by midnight. Celebrities repost the clip. Immigrant rights groups mobilize support. Janelle's blog hits 2.4 million views in 24 hours. Wednesday, Mayor Lawton's mansion. Gregory stood behind a podium on his front lawn, pale, sweating. These allegations are false. Ms. Delgado was terminated for theft. This is personal revenge. But the reporters didn't ask about Rosa. They asked about Clay Stanford. Who's Mr. Stanford, Mayor? Why was he paid through a shell company? Did you personally authorize deportations through ICE? He stumbled, then walked away without answering. The press called it a meltdown. That night, Rosa's apartment. Someone slashed her tires. But when police arrived, 3 of her neighbors had cell phone footage of a black sedan speeding away. Rosa refused to be moved to a safe house. "I have to wake up here," she said. "I have to show them I'm still standing." The second recording leaked online. An unknown account uploaded the second clip. "Clay, if she ever leaks the folder, you send the message. Family first." Dead silence. The voice was clearly Gregory Lawton. Within hours, the FBI issued a subpoena. Thursday, town hall meeting citizens packed the public meeting. Dozens lined up to speak. Some shouted, some cried. A retired school teacher stood with trembling hands. "I taught that man in 3rd grade. I never thought he'd turn this town into a trap." At the back of the room, Rosa sat quietly. No press, no speech, just presence. Friday, 5:03 a.m. The hallway outside Rosa's apartment was silent. Too silent. She felt it in her chest before she saw it. The apartment door was cracked open. Her heart dropped. She rushed inside. "Lucia!" Her 9-year-old daughter peeked out from the bedroom doorway. "Mommy!" Rosa exhaled in relief. Lucia was safe, but the coffee table had been flipped. Her immigration file was gone, and on the kitchen counter, a folded note. "Next time, we won't knock." That afternoon, federal courthouse, Hartford, FBI officials held a press conference confirming a federal investigation had been launched. The mayor's personal attorney, Clay Stanford, was under active surveillance. Multiple whistleblower protections had been extended, including to Rosa Delgado. Rosa watched the broadcast from a security tent across town, where she'd been relocated just that morning. A female agent handed her a cup of tea. "We'll keep Lucia safe. You did the hard part already." Rosa shook her head. "Number. The hard part is making them believe I'm not just a maid." Saturday, downtown South Hills. Protesters marched from City Hall to the courthouse. Some held signs. "Justice for Rosa. No one is illegal. Maid, number witness." At the front of the march, Janelle walked arm in arm with immigrant rights leaders, pastors, and even a former Republican councilwoman who had resigned in protest. Meanwhile, inside the mayor's home, Gregory was unraveling. He paced back and forth in his private wine cellar, ranting to his wife. "I told Clay to keep it clean. I told him—" "Gregory," Mallory interrupted, "they've frozen your campaign fund. Then we unfreeze it. They subpoenaed our bank accounts." "What?" The walls were closing in. That night, anonymous, tip email to the New York Times subject line. He ordered it himself. Inside the encrypted zip folder, internal emails from Gregory's campaign assistant, ICE communication logs, tied to West River Holdings. One single damning line in an email from Clay to Gregory. "Rosa has the folder. You want it handled the old way or new?" Sunday morning. Rosa's safe house. Lucia braided her doll's hair while Rosa sat on the edge of the couch, staring at her daughter's tiny fingers. "I don't want to go back to school, Mommy," Lucia whispered. "Why? Mi amor. They'll say I'm the girl from the news." Rosa knelt. "Let them," she said softly, "because someday they'll say something else." Lucia tilted her head. "What?" "That you were the reason a bad man got stopped." Monday, 9 a.m., courtroom 3C, Federal District Building, Hartford, Connecticut. The gallery was full. Journalists, activists, residents of South Hills, and even former Lawton donors who now claimed they always had doubts. Rosa Delgado sat at the front, hair pulled back tightly, dark blazer over a white blouse. Her fingers pressed together like she was holding something delicate between them, maybe her last nerve. Across from her sat Gregory Lawton. His suit was perfect. His face was stone, but his eyes darted, and that was enough. The first question, by the prosecutor. "Ms. Delgado, how long were you employed in the Lawton household?" 6 years? 3 months? 2 weeks? During that time, were you aware of any illegal threats made against you or other staff? Yes. Did you report them? No. Why not? Rosa looked at the jury. Her voice didn't shake. Because when you have something to lose, silence feels safer than truth. They played the recordings, both of them. Gregory's voice filled the courtroom. The ice threat, the admission, the tone of entitlement, gasps, whispers, reporters furiously typing. Rosa watched none of it. She stared at the floor until it was over. Then came the cross-examination. Lofton's defense attorney rose, tall, slick-haired, voice full of courtroom charm. "Ms. Delgado, you say you were threatened, yet you continued to work for the mayor. Why? Because I needed the money. But you had options. No. Number just my daughter. Did you ever steal from the mayor's house? No. Did you ever fabricate any part of this story? No." The attorney turned to the jury dramatically. "So, you're telling us that after 6 years of silence, you suddenly found your courage just as the mayor entered his 4th election." Rosa didn't blink. "I didn't find courage. I ran out of fear." Lunchtime, courthouse cafeteria. Rosa sat alone, picking at a sandwich. Janelle sat across from her, sliding over a printout. It was a poll. 71% of South Hills residents now say they believe you. Only 12% believe the mayor. Rosa smiled weakly. That's still 12% too many. Back in court, Daniel takes the stand. Rosa's niece's boyfriend, the software engineer from Boston, was called to testify about metadata, timestamps, and encryption. He explained everything: the files, the devices, the email threads, the data trail back to Gregory and Clay. And finally, there's no doubt in my mind, the audio is real. The documents are unaltered. The mayor orchestrated the entire threat system. At the defense table, Gregory whispered to his lawyer, "I want to testify." His attorney shook his head. "You'll sink yourself." Gregory stood up anyway. Monday, 3:42 p.m. Gregory Lawton took the stand. The courtroom buzzed. Some whispered, some smirked. All of them watching the Golden Boy mayor finally under oath. He raised his right hand, swore to tell the truth, then leaned toward the mic like he was starting a campaign speech. "Let me begin by saying, I've served South Hills for over a decade. I've donated more money to immigrant charities than anyone in this room. And yes, I employed undocumented staff. Like everyone in my circle." Gasps rippled across the courtroom. The judge tapped her gavel. "Stick to the questions, Mr. Lawton." Prosecutor's first question. "Did you authorize ICE threats against Rosa Delgado?" "No." "Did you know about the file titled Delgado Contingency Plan?" "No." "Did you speak these words?" He plays the audio. "If she flips, I'll have her on a bus to El Paso before sunrise." Gregory leaned in. That was taken out of context. Laughter erupted. The judge slammed the gavel again. But then came the twist. "Mr. Lawton, were you aware that Rosa Delgado once filed a harassment report against one of your donors?" Gregory blinked. "What?" "4 years ago, while working for you, she filed a complaint about a man named Frederick Miles." Rosa froze in her seat. The prosecutor continued. "That complaint was dismissed by your office." Gregory stammered. That never reached me." The prosecutor handed him a copy of the internal email trail. "It was BCC'd to your personal email." Gregory's voice cracked. I don't recall. You don't recall? Silencing the only time Rosa ever spoke up before this? He said nothing. The silence screamed. Later, outside the courthouse, news anchors reported live as the sun dipped behind the pillars of justice. The mayor's credibility is collapsing. The courtroom was left speechless after revelations of prior cover-ups. Inside, Rosa stood alone in the hallway. Janelle approached slowly. You okay? Rosa nodded, but her eyes were far away. I thought I was afraid of losing. And now? Now I'm afraid of what happens when people believe me. That night, Rosa's safe house. Lucia clutched her hand. Are you going to go back to cleaning houses after this? Rosa smiled. I think I'm going to clean something bigger. Lucia giggled. Like what? Rosa kissed her forehead. Like the whole town. Tuesday, 11 a.m., federal courthouse, verdict day. Outside, protest signs, television trucks, and police barricades. Inside, silence thick enough to hold. Rosa sat 3 rows behind the prosecution table, Lucia holding her hand. Gregory Lawton, once the untouchable man in South Hills, stared forward. No smile, no cufflinks, no defense left. The judge entered. In the matter of United States versus Gregory Lawton, she read the charges: wire fraud, witness intimidation, obstruction of justice, guilty, 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 gasps, then cheers, then tears. Rosa didn't cry, not until Lucia squeezed her hand and whispered, You did it, Mommy. That evening, City Hall. The town council voted unanimously to remove Gregory Lawton's name from the civic library, and then they did something no one expected. They renamed a new immigrant resource center downtown, the Delgado House. 1 week later, news interview. Janelle sat across from Rosa on a live-streamed special. So, you started this with a file folder, and now you're one of the most recognized whistleblowers in the country. What's next? Rosa smiled. I'm not going to be silent again. Will you be running for office? Rosa shook her head. I'm running a program to train domestic workers in labor rights and legal safety. You're building the thing you never had? Exactly. Flash forward. 6 months later, South Hills looks different. The new mayor is a woman. The Delgado House is filled with volunteers. And Rosa, she teaches a night class on how to speak when you were trained to stay silent. Final scene. Rosa's apartment balcony. Lucia runs in from school, backpack swinging. Guess what? I got picked to do a speech next week. Rosa kneels. A speech? About what? Someone who inspires me. Rosa smiles. Who'd you pick? Lucia grins. You. Rosa pulls her close and looks out over the town. Sunlight bathes the rooftops. And finally, she exhales without fear.